Good morning, and welcome to InTouch, a public affairs show dedicated to improving the lives of Susquehanna Valley residents. I'm Freddie Hammer, News Director at Backyard Broadcasting. This week on InTouch, we're getting ready for Election Day. This Tuesday, November 5th, we as Lycoming County residents are tasked with choosing the leaders of our municipal government. Today, we'll talk to Forrest K. Lehman, who's the Director of Elections and Registration for Pennsylvania Voter Services in Lycoming County. Thank you for joining me today on InTouch, Forrest.
No problem. Thank you.
How long have you been the Director of Elections and Registration in Lycoming County?
I've been in the office for about 6 years. I've been Director of Elections for 4.
Are you feeling encouraged lately by the amount of people who are really interested in the politics nowadays?
I have been. The turnout in the primary was much higher than usual for a local election year. I'm hoping that continues into November.
We had a really good turnout for our Trade and Transit Center opportunity at the Michael Ross Center to talk to our Lycoming County commissioners as well as our city council and mayor. A lot of people interested in doing some voting, making some changes coming out this Tuesday. What is your main piece of advice for people who may haven't voted in a while?
Well, if they haven't voted in a long time, hopefully they'll still be registered. They can always check with us beforehand. But they can always depend on the poll workers to help them as well. So they'll help them find their name in the poll book, and hopefully they'll be able to sign in and cast a vote. I guess the main thing people should be prepared for is that the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And depending on when they arrive at the polling place. There can be some long lines during the busiest times of the day. So before people are going to work. Over lunchtime, when people are just getting off work, there are some large crowds of people. Sometimes there can be lines at our busiest facilities.
Are there any changes this year about ID bringing to the polls? What is the law at this time in Lycoming County?
The law has been the same for a number of years now. There is a federal law that requires any person who is voting for the first time or who is voting for the first time in a new polling place to show an acceptable form of ID. That can be a photo or a non-photo form of ID that includes the registration card that we send out to the voter.
How many voter machines are available for people to vote on this Tuesday?
Well, it's different now because we've moved to a new voting system. So about half the counties in the state are transitioning to paper-based voting systems this November, and we're one of them. When voters go out to the polling place, they'll actually be issued a paper ballot. That looks very much like the ballots that people would have voted on if they were an absentee voter in the past. They'll fill in ovals on the ballot to make their selections, and when they're done doing that, everybody would put their voted ballots through a scanner that will scan the votes and count them, and there will be one scanner per precinct where everybody would put their ballots through. There would also be one device at the precinct that can provide an audio ballot and headphones for a voter who has a disability and requires an accommodation of that nature.
That was my next question. With people with disabilities, how many people will be able to help them navigate the voting scenario?
Well, the state election code provides for any voter who requires assistance to be able to receive it. So if a voter completes a form there at the precinct, they're eligible to receive assistance from almost anybody with just a few exceptions. But in general, a friend, a family member, a neighbor, any other willing person could provide assistance to a voter, which could take the form of helping that person to make selections on their paper ballot, could take the form of helping them with using one of the devices at the polling place. It could take a variety of forms, but it is provided for in the law for those people.
The most important thing for people to do is not to vote without knowing what you're voting for. What's the best way to find out the most about each candidate that we're going to be voting for on Tuesday?
I should stress on that point that my office is nonpartisan, so we do not provide information or materials about candidates or about the merits of a candidate or a question or anything like that. Mm-hmm. We are strictly involved in the process of the elections because we want people to have faith that the Board of Elections is administering elections fairly, uniformly, impartially throughout the county. And I concede it can be more difficult for people to find information and good information about candidates for local offices. it's not like you can go on Google and look people up just like you would for someone running for president or senator or something very high profile.
True.
But there is information out there. I think if you can learn a lot by word of mouth. More candidates now are mounting websites. They're using social media. They're running advertisements and mailing out materials. And so I think there are opportunities out there for people to gain information about candidates for these offices if they want to avail themselves of it.
You said the voting for Tuesday is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is that later than normal?
No, the voting hours are what they have been for quite a long time. Those are the hours when the polls have always been open, and we are accustomed to a lot of our busier sites having a line of people first thing in the morning. And so if you get there first thing, you may encounter a line that the poll workers would gradually work through. And once that's resolved, we generally don't have a large problem with lines. So people should expect they may have to wait a few minutes, but even in a high turnout election, things tend to move along pretty well. Our poll workers do a great job.
What time of the day is the least busy?
I mean, we typically will see some slower times happen maybe in the late morning, and also in the kind of mid to late afternoon. Things can slow down a little bit, and then when people start getting off work around 4:30, 5 o'clock, you can see things pick up again for a little while, and then right toward the end, that 6:30, 7 to 8, it can slow down quite a bit then as well.
What do you love most about being involved in elections in Lycoming County, Forrest?
Well, to me, it's been about finding a constructive way to serve my community. I mean, I was an Eagle Scout. I originally was a teacher. I taught college for a number of years, and to me, it's always been about trying to find a way to put my skills to use in a way that I think is going to be beneficial to the community. When we were in Boy Scouts, they would always have us, when we were done camping somewhere, they put you in a line, have you walk through the whole area and pick up all the trash, because they said you needed to leave every campsite looking better than when you found it. And that always resonated with me on kind of a wider level, that it's a good lesson for your whole life. You try to leave every place better than when you found it, whether it's a campsite or your community. So to me, it's always been a way to contribute and try to improve, and if I can't change the whole world, I can at least affect my own little corner of it.
Well, we certainly want to follow your example. Forrest K. Lehman, of course, the Director of Elections and Registration here in Lycoming County. Really excited about voting, getting some change if you're looking for that, or keeping things the way they are. What's the website for your office so we can find out more about the bipartisan side that you guys take care of?
Well, I don't think I could recite the URL by heart, but I can direct people to the county webpage, which is www.lyco.org. And if they go to the county homepage, they can get to voter services under the departments tab. And we do keep that webpage updated. We keep information up there all year long to show people how they can register to vote, how they can apply for an absentee ballot, and also information that's pertinent to the current election, the upcoming election. So keep information on there about local elected officials in all of the municipalities in the county, so people can always find out who their elected officials are, whether it's local, whether it's county, even state elected officials as well.
Well, we're striving to get as many people out to vote as we can, for sure, with the information provided. Maybe it'll be a little easier for folks going forward. It's Forrest K. Lehman, Director of Elections and Registrations in Lycoming County. Thanks for joining us today on InTouch, Forrest.
Thank you very much.
One more thing that we wanted to make sure you knew is that you can find a list of every polling place and where your polling place is by checking in with the voter services at lyco.org. See you out on Election Day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at your polling place. Thanks so much for getting out and voting. InTouch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us regarding questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays between 8 and 5, 570-323-8200. You can also write to us at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport, PA, 17701. Attention Freddie Hammer. Or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. Thanks for listening to InTouch, a production of Backyard Broadcasting.